the answer has been no.
Yeah, I was like, oh wait, I never hit the button. That
Nice.
never happens.
That's great. It's episode 230 of The Platformers, a show about games and nerd culture. Usually, it's about games primarily. But this week, I'm your host, Brian Barnett.
I am your co-host, Chris Shriver. Oh, it's less of a... The effect is less great because the door is open. I didn't even see that. Oh, well. That's fine.
Do you want to go close it and then
wait, hold on.
Try it again?
Hold on.
Okay, here we go. We're going to try it again. Okay. Take two.
Okay, here we go. I am your co-host, Chris Shriver.
Oh no! And look, Linguini, like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I didn't agree to this.
I need to get out of here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So, as ominously, kind of put forth by Sir Shrives, this episode is all about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This is our Multiverse spoiler cast. We're going to start, as we always do, with our spoiler-free thoughts and opinions, and then we're going to dive into, we'll be very clear about when we're going to change. Oh, actually, hold on. We're going to be very clear and explicit about when we're going to be moving over to spoilers. And we're going to dig all down into the nitty-gritty. And there's a lot to talk about with this movie, but at the same time, there's not a lot to talk about with this movie, so we're gonna get into it.
That usually means this is gonna be a super long episode whenever that happens.
5 hours. Yeah, I'm like, there's not really a lot to talk about. Yeah. But yeah. Chris, you saw the film first. I actually just saw it today. I just saw it earlier today. I saw it, I think I finished like an hour and a half ago.
Nice.
And then I came home, showered up, ate dinner, cleaned the kitchen, and then boom, into it. And I took some notes. So I do have some stuff that I specifically want to get to. I didn't take that many notes for this film. And I think we'll probably get into why later. But I am very curious. You saw it first. When did you see it? What did you think?
I saw it opening night Thursday, 6:45, at my local AMC in a Dolby Theater. I thought they're fighting under the door. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think it definitely has. I think I'll say, plot-wise, there are moments where there were more than one points where I would lean over to Jess and I'd be like, why don't they just do this? Like, why is this happening? And I had to like suspend disbelief more than I'm used to doing in a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
But I will say, I definitely had fun watching it. Like, there were a lot of moments where like we were all like, there were four of us, and like we all were like looking at each other like, oh my God, like I can't believe they did that. To the point where I'm surprised, and I mean, there's actually IGN did a graphic for it today, the social team. People are surprised it wasn't rated R. I think, I think this is definitely just in terms of like effed up things that happen in a Marvel, in any movie. This is definitely one of the most effed up ones, I think. There's just a lot of dark imagery. And it's creepy. It's like it's exactly what I want Marvel to keep letting directors do specifically. Like Taika Waititi came in Thor Ragnarok, and it's like, yeah, this is a Thor movie, but like this is a Taika Waititi movie. It feels that way.
Yes.
Sam Raimi
I think that's
came
the
in.
best. That's kind of the best thing that Disney has done with both the Marvel stuff and the Star Wars stuff.
Yep.
because The Mandalorian and Rogue One feel very different from the rest of what's going on with Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And I think um it's good because it diversifies the pool of experiences that you can have within that universe, which I think is really, really good because not everything's going to vibe with everybody. And also, I think if you kind of get tired of like the mainline entries, or you disagree with what they did, whether like you don't like Last Jedi or you, like me, really despise what they did in The Rise of Skywalker, there's other stuff for you to engage with where you can just kind of ignore that stuff.
Yeah.
And I like that there one place where I think that kind of falls down in
Keep
the
going.
Marvel stuff.
I'm just gonna open the door.
Okay. One place where I feel like that kind of falls down in the Marvel stuff is that it kind of assumes a lot of knowledge going into it. So it's on the one hand, and we'll definitely get into this later. On the one hand, I think that
Did you say it assumes that you know what you're
yes,
walking into? Okay. Yeah.
it assumes that you come in with a lot of knowledge,
Right.
and we'll get into it later. In some ways, this movie tells a story that's already been told before, but on the other hand, it also basically requires you to already know that story, which I think is one of the points where this movie I think kind of falters a bit. But we'll definitely get into that a lot more later.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, without giving specifics, like it's definitely easier if you have watched Marvel content up to this point. I'll just say specifically WandaVision. Like, if you're somebody who hasn't watched that series and you plan on seeing this movie, prepare to go into it very confused, or like prepare to be confused at the jump. And then
I think that you only really need to have seen the original Doctor Strange and WandaVision.
And
I don't think you really
Infinity War, for sure.
But then Infinity War brings in a lot of other stuff. I feel like I don't think you need to have seen Infinity War for this.
I mean, if you know what happens in that movie,
they refer to it, but I think that's minor points.
Yeah,
that's just like minor stuff that you're not going to get.
WandaVision's definitely the most important.
You need to have seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you would enjoy the movie as much.
No.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'll understand. You might understand what the actors in this movie are doing, like what the characters in this movie are doing, but you won't understand what's
see the big picture
and why.
Yeah.
You won't understand why any of this is happening.
Yeah.
Or why any of it's important.
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of my feeling on that. Did you have anything else before I went into kind of what I was thinking?
I will say it plot wise, given what happens in it, I am not surprised. Just based on what I think they're trying to do with the MCU at this point. It's so hard to talk about this without getting specific, but they are trying to like tie up a lot of loose ends post Endgame. And this feels like another epilogue piece to that movie in some ways. It also, I don't want to get too deep into that, but
another thing that I don't think is required viewing, but I think you'll get more out of it is if you watch the What If.
I would
shorts.
disagree. Because
you think you should not?
It's not that you shouldn't. I just watched those like a week ago. And there is imagery in there that if you've been on the internet, like you have seen certain things that are in this movie. And that is about as far as it takes you but I don't think it's
I guess so.
necessarily like
Yeah, and it's not required.
yeah, like there's nothing in What If that like appears in this movie that is exactly the same.
That's true. That's true. But
Or that like references What If, I should say.
but there's a lot of things that have been handling, the multiverse lately. Like there's the Spider-Man movie, there's What If, there's Loki, all this sort of stuff. And none of that's required here.
Yeah.
It's and it doesn't really tie in hardly at all.
Yeah.
So in several ways this is about as self-contained as you can get while still being a continuation of several major MCU characters' stories. And I think that they did a pretty good job with that. But overall, I'm definitely... Oh, you had more?
No, the only other thing I was going to say was if you haven't seen this yet, I definitely... And you haven't seen... Doctor Strange came out 6 years ago. If you haven't seen it in a while, I would recommend watching that before this. Not because it's like important lore-wise, but like there are a lot of little references in Multiverse of Madness that I didn't pick up on until I had watched Doctor Strange again this weekend. After I saw Multiverse, and I was like, oh man, like I would have appreciated so many more moments in this movie had Doctor Strange been more fresh in my mind.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious to get into that later when we really dig into it.
It's not a ton, but it's enough where it's like, oh, like as I was watching, I was like, oh, they went back to that. Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for me, I definitely didn't love it. Before I went, I'd seen like a bunch of, I've muted everything.
Yeah.
Or I thought I did several times, and then some stuff slips through, but it wasn't anything major.
Yeah.
And then, but I had seen people basically talk about, oh man, this has gotten me so excited for the future of the MCU. Like my love for Marvel is reinvigorated. And then I'd seen, I gotta go eat some fast food and wash this out of my mouth, because this has totally killed, like my love for this universe.
Specifically, like, and I'll call her out because I think she's great. Like Lauren Galloway,
Yes,
hated this movie.
yes.
And
That's specifically who I was talking.
Yeah, I haven't really
said.
gotten to get into it with her, but I want to, because I'm just curious. But it's definitely the type of movie that like there's a very good chance. Like if you're a Sam Raimi fan, this is very much a Sam Raimi movie.
Dang, I should have asked her to be on this episode.
Yeah.
That
She would have been, she would have ripped it apart. I don't even think she wants to talk about it, honestly. Like I think she hated it.
Oh, that's fair.
She almost walked out. She said,
Wow.
yeah, like she was that upset by it. But that's just it. Like I think there are more people that are going to enjoy it, than there are that are going to like viscerally hate it.
I'm definitely in the middle.
Yeah.
Like I think if
It's not like a Thor Dark World to you, is it?
no, but even then I enjoyed that movie.
Oh, okay.
So if you watched our Endgame stuff, like they did some stuff with Thor's character that I really, really found distasteful.
Yeah.
This isn't on that level, but it's like not completely different. They did some stuff to a character that I really like in this movie that I really did not like. Yeah. But they did enough stuff. They had enough little really cool touches all around to mostly make up for it.
Yeah.
I think if I had to score this, I would still say this is like probably good.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it a 7, probably. Another thing is like, I haven't watched hardly anything about this, and I went in being like, oh yeah, like I'm very excited. Like this movie has like 2 of my favorite Marvel characters in it, that I've really grown to love over a while. And then, there's a bunch of other stuff in it as well. And it wasn't what I was hoping that it would be. It wasn't really about what I was hoping it would be about.
Yep.
Uh and the stuff that they did, I was just like, oh man, like I really wish they'd done some different stuff. So it
And I
to
think that's
me,
a fair criticism of this movie for sure.
it feels mostly like I think probably my biggest disappointment with the movie is it feels like uh it actually kind of did what to a much lesser extent, it kind of feels like the Last Jedi of the Marvel universe, where like
yeah.
it feels like the universe is going in one direction and then this movie really zags on you, and I respect it, but I don't love it. And that's kind of how I feel. I kind of feel middling about it. I'm glad that I watched it. I'm not sure when I'm gonna watch it again. It's not one of those like with Spider-Man No Way Home where I was like, I'd watch that again right now. Like,
Weirdly enough, like I have a lot of problems with this movie, or the events that happen in this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's a super fun movie to watch, though.
Yeah.
Especially like with a group of people. Like it's definitely the kind of thing where if I were in high school and like you have like your friends sleep over or whatever, and maybe like two of them haven't seen it yet and you have, and like like the jump scares and like the stuff
you're
that
just like
happens
looking over.
Yeah,
and
you're
just
like like it's definitely one of those movies.
Yeah.
I'll definitely watch it again, but
I feel like this, I probably will as well.
yeah.
I'll probably watch it with Audrey, depending on when it comes out. But I guess, and I don't know why. I wasn't expecting this to be as much of an action movie as it is. Like it is definitely an action movie.
This movie doesn't even at the beginning of it. It's not to the extent that like The Rise of Skywalker does this, but like this movie starts
it's almost there. Yeah.
And does not stop. Like there is very little breathing room in this film. And what's crazy, there's a few things that are crazy about that, is that there were like 46 or something extra minutes that they cut from this movie. That whether it was like, and there's,
I wonder if those were like exposition scenes or like character moments. I could have used more like character beats, but there are a lot of like dense exposition scenes in between action set pieces.
Yep.
Which is not particularly what I'm like the biggest fan of in the MCU.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where the kind of universe is maybe at its weakest.
Yeah. This does have some of, again, because it's Doctor Strange and it's just weird. Like it's very off the wall. There are off the wall things in this movie that I haven't seen in a movie before that I really enjoyed because of that.
I will say that one thing that Doctor Strange is great at is giving you stuff you have not seen before.
Yeah.
Or it's not, these movies are never just about punching harder.
Right.
They're usually about, you got to do something weird to win.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is in this movie in spades. So on that front, I feel like they did kind of meet my expectations of, there's a bunch of weird stuff that happens in this movie, which is why I like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And it's why I like Scarlet Witch, because those characters can make whatever they want kind of happen. And so going in and understanding, it's not like a very small sandbox. There's a huge room with tons of toys and tons of equipment, and you can do all kinds of things in this playground. And watching what they decided to do with it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. Shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind. Nah, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
Well, shall we move on to the spoilers?
Yes.
can you make sure that our that the stream actually reads that we're spoiling Doctor Strange so that somebody doesn't jump in?
I can.
I just want to make sure that somebody doesn't jump in after the spoiler wall.
Right.
And be like, oh, great, I jumped in and you literally spoiled this movie.
Yeah, that is a good call. The one thing I was going to, while I'm doing this, the one thing I was going to say was the number of cameos that happened in this movie was definitely cut down. And it seems like the type of thing that whenever this goes on like Blu-ray or digital or whatever, they have like extra footage. I would be surprised if they didn't include some of that just as like a, hey, we almost did this kind of thing. Because
I'm really interested to hear about that.
What I will say is there are images that were leaked before this came out of certain characters that were supposed to be in this movie and were not in this movie.
Okay.
Or people believed would be in this movie and they were not in this movie, I should say. And I will leave it at that. I am going to change this. Doctor Strange spoiler cast. Done.
Nice.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen and people of all kinds, spoilers are now live. And let's go ahead and talk about this film.
There you go.
What do you say?
Let's do it. So I don't know about you. The decision, I'm just gonna just hit it hard, right? The decision to kill Scarlet Witch and not only that, but for this movie,
but to eviscerate her character during the entire run of the movie.
Well, it's that, and like Jess and I have talked about it a lot, because she really, really likes the character.
Me too. She's half of the reason I went to go watch this movie.
Yeah. I think
because after WandaVision, I really grew to love her.
I think it's a mistake on their part not keeping her around. And I think there's a good chance she will come back, whether it's like another universe her or because at this point all bets are off. Like anybody could come back at any point.
And who's to say that the Scarlet Witch can even be killed? Like,
Like she may not be. But
I didn't see a body.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't do the thing in Endgame where they panned back over the
and
Soul
she's
Stone
all gray and
location and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that.
So it's very possible she's still gonna be around, but
I don't think so. But
yeah.
I really hope that she is still around because I love that character. And I was talking about how like the Fat Thor thing in Endgame, which I hated.
Yeah.
I felt like that was so disrespectful.
you were really vindicated after that.
That I was vindicated after that?
Well, I guess, is that the word I want? That's probably not the word I want.
I don't know. Did everybody come around to my side of thinking?
No. I fought you tooth and nail over that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It felt super disrespectful, not only to Thor's suffering and his sacrifice, but also to overweight people who stress eat all over the world.
Yeah.
It just felt like a huge slap
very
in the face. Very
distasteful.
It felt very insulting and demeaning, and I hated it.
Yeah.
This is not to that extent, but it's almost there.
Yeah.
It's not mocking her suffering, but it is doing that thing that they do with Vegeta all the time in Dragon Ball, where it's like at the end of the Cell Saga or at the beginning of the Majin Buu saga, like when Vegeta does his thing and does final explosion or whatever, and has this whole realization. And then in other arcs, they're just like, oh, he's got to learn this lesson again. And it's like, no, we already covered this.
Yeah.
We already covered this. Like, Gohan is a G. He's accepted his power. He's let go of his limitations. Like, and he's
had character development.
He's had character development, and then you just totally walked it back, and that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's what they did for Wanda. Like, she got over it. She was in mourning. She was in misery. She was in isolation. She was in pain, but not in denial.
like people that are going to be or that are like strong defenders of this movie will say, yeah, but the Darkhold, like that's the easy out, is that she has this thing that corrupts her mind and everything around her, and I get that.
I get that, but at the same time, like
it
she
feels like
acted when she confronts the kids towards the end of the movie and they recoil. It's like you saw this in the town with everyone, and you learned this lesson and you realized what was happening and what you had become, and you walked it back and you tried to resolve to be a better person, and to then make her the villain of this movie, which I did not see coming.
Go ahead.
Was just I couldn't believe it.
I want Jess's take on the treatment of Wanda Maximoff in this movie.
Okay.
My take on it? What do you mean?
Well, like we had talked about how...
Oh, how I wish they'd given her a little bit more time.
Like more of a runway to...
Before she hit crazy mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the movie.
You mean the
Right,
Anakin
so, like,
Skywalker
with
problem?
WandaVision, you kind of get this moment where you're like, okay, she's moving on. She's getting through her grief. She's gonna like be okay. And then you see her in this, and it's like not okay. And then it's just like it's like a harsh turn. Yeah. And I kind of wish that they had given us even just like a little bit of like some kind of like intro to her not being okay. Because I was like, oh, it's gonna be one of the variants that's gonna be the crazy one, not her. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's not. But I'm okay with it because it was amazing. But she rocked it. Yeah. But I just wish we'd had gotten a little bit of that like transition, because she was doing so like she did, it was really sad, but she was like, oh, I'm gonna be okay, I'm getting through it, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, you see her with the like the Darkhold at the end, but you suspect that she's gonna be okay. Yeah. And then it's just like, nope, evil. I feel like that's like also a mistake of WandaVision, is that they didn't do a good job in that show of, and maybe I'm not remembering it because it was like a while ago when that came out. They don't do a good job of explaining like that's what that book is going to do to her. So going into Multiverse of Madness, you do have this moment of like, why is it feels like at the drop of a hat all of a sudden she's crazy mode, because when WandaVision ends, it's with like she starts to have this redeeming moment of like, okay, she's letting Vision go, White Vision takes off, you know, she's accepted her reality, and then she gets the Darkhold, and like we don't really know what it is. Yeah, we know that it might be, you know, there's hints that it's sinister or whatever, but like we don't know the extent of what that is. It's not going to totally. We don't know that its superpower is that it undoes a full season of character. Nobody told me that. Yeah. But that really sucked. But I will say one area in which I was totally vindicated is that is when people have been like, who's the strongest in the MCU? And I'm like, it's Wanda, and it's not close. Yeah. It's Wanda, and stop talking. It's Wanda, and it's not close. Yeah. And I feel we definitely need to get into the cameos later, because I feel like that's where she really shows off, and it's as awful as it is to behold, as terrifying as it is to behold, it was definitely a Vader at the end of Rogue One moment where like I was half horrified, half reveling in the absolute just fan service of being like, hey, what if these two characters fought and like it was a complete wash. And it's just it's like yeah, go ahead, try. And in a way, like now that you say that, it kind of makes sense that they did what they did with that character, because like she's the ace in the hole in every Marvel movie. If she sticks around, then it's like, all right, we have this problem. Cool. Throw Scarlet Witch at her, and now the problem goes away. Yeah. She's basically a reality stone unto herself. Yeah. 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 It's wild. But we need to talk about America.
Go ahead. I don't know what's happening.
We need to talk about America Chavez because this is the second main character of the film. I think if we had like a small ensemble cast, it would be, we've got Wanda, we've got Wong to a lesser extent, we've got America Chavez, and then we've also got Wanda. And the weird thing is that it serves as America Chavez's introduction into the MCU, but in a very weird way, because we're introduced to her, like, the movie starts in media res, which is, I like when intros are done that way, and I liked that it kind of caps off something that's happening, and of course, you know, the evil weird jumpsuit Doctor Strange gets killed just as they're about to win. And then she comes to our universe and all that sort of stuff. But my understanding is that that's not like her power set in the comics.
Oh,
I don't really know anything about that. What she kind of reminded me of is there's a character in the Guardians of the Galaxy and the X-Men, I think, and she's a rock star, but she also like randomly teleports throughout the universe and ends up in a bunch of different places. I forget who she is. I may need to look that up the next time you're talking about something. But they found her. She's friends with Captain Marvel in these comics that I've read. And she is just like this kind of diva that just rocks through the cosmos, just traveling all around and all that sort of stuff. Glimmer. It might be. But it was definitely, she definitely crossed paths with like Venom, like either Flash Thompson or Eddie Brock Venom when he was teamed up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I forget which one it was exactly, but they went up against like Thanos's people, and then also Captain Marvel went off and was hanging out with this character. But apparently she's like super famous all over the universe, and she'll pop up and do rock shows in like some corner of the universe or whatever. So it felt kind of like they were taking that character and like mashing her up with this character. All I know is one of my friends, America Chavez, is her favorite superhero.
Oh.
Because representation matters.
I mean, from what I'm seeing, Gifted a group of younger superheroes. This is the IGN article, Who is America Chavez? America's ability to punch portals to other dimensions led the team across time and space as they tracked down their elusive enemy. This is in the 2013 Young Avengers run. No, I mean, apparently that's like her deal.
Superhuman strength, speed, longevity, and durability, flight, invulnerability, star portal creation, star blast, interdimensional travel, time travel. Okay, well, I guess not.
Yeah. That's weird. The deal.
So she's like Superman, but she can also
traverse the multiverse.
Travel through time and the multiverse.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds pretty dope.
Oh, speaking of that, one thing I wanted to bring up, and I'm sure part of it is they weren't sure how to explain the multiverse, and it could be that I'm thinking too deeply into it. If you watch the original Doctor Strange, when he first gets to Carmontage and he starts learning about like what they do, they're like in the courtyard and while he's watching everybody do the sling ring thing. The way that they describe the multiverse in that movie is like pretty different than what it actually is now. And it's like, it's just weird.
What did they say?
It's like they talk about the sling rings, and he's like, I think it's Mordo that says it. He's like, we use the sling rings to traverse the multiverse. And it's like, well, no, you use the sling ring to traverse your universe. But then they also use it to enter the mirror dimension, which is a different dimension and not a different multiverse.
And not a different universe.
And not a different universe, right. And and he kept saying it, and I was like, I feel like this is just like a byproduct of them like actually figuring out what they wanted all of this to mean. Like, but like after...
It's so weird because the multiverse was definitely
like a thing
and solidified in the comics before that.
Right. And that's what was weird during that scene was I actually went back and like rewound it and I was like, I feel like he's wrong in how he's explaining this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like if you have time, like
That's
go look at that scene. You'll see what I'm talking about after you watch this movie.
Doctor Strange is hard for me to watch because of that car accident. But
oh sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just fast forward.
Sure. Yeah, I've seen it before. I don't need to see it again, I guess. But yeah, it sucks because America is like half MacGuffin, half character. Because like her ability is the thing that everybody's after. So like she kind of doesn't need to be in the movie except that her ability is what people want.
Yeah.
For various reasons. To either get to Wanda's kids or stop Wanda from getting to her kids.
And it's also like it is the introduction of that character into the MCU, right? Like I feel like we can't at this point we can't have a Marvel movie or TV show where we're not getting some new character that is going to lead to whatever the next thing is going, whether it's Young Avengers or whatever it is. Because at this point I feel like I still don't know what they're building to.
I mean, it's multiverse stuff like this. I think it's just going to be stuff like this.
It's going to be this. It's going to be Kang.
It's going to be No Way Home.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be stuff like that, like exploring different realities because we killed Thanos, the big bad in this reality. So we got to find a bigger, badder reality that's
right.
Full of bigger, badder guys that we can punch harder.
Yeah.
But it kind of stunk because I didn't really care at all about America. I feel like they didn't really try to make me care about her at all.
Not
which
really.
Was weird.
I mean, they do the thing like
they had one 30-second scene where it was like
with
her
moms,
lost her
and
parents.
it's like this is how this is how she got her power, or like this is when she discovered she had powers or whatever it is.
This is the 17th time that this is the first same-sex marriage in a Marvel movie.
Yeah. No, we'd I don't know how you could though. Like it's not an America Chavez movie. It's a Doctor Strange movie, Which is why I think it's weird to introduce her here, I guess. It's like it's the same thing with with Captain Marvel. It's like they introduce you to her best friend in a scene that doesn't last very long and I'm supposed to care about her, but I just kind of don't. Because they don't really do anything to make me care about her. That you just go, they are friends and they fly planes together, and then
I care about her kid more than I care about her because like the kid is excited about things and like excited to see Carol, and then like she has like things that she wants to do, whereas like the other person is just main character's friend, and like that doesn't really do anything for me. Like Ned Leeds. You care about him because he's a dork, because he's lovable, because he's a character. And I feel like these other people are like not really characters.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And I don't know whether it was the writing or something, but I feel like the person who played America, like their acting was like not fully solidified.
I think a lot of it is, and this is very like Sam Raimi, a lot of it is the script in this movie. There's a lot of dialogue because unfortunately, a lot of the dialogue that she has in this movie is between her and Strange. And when they are, the only moments that they talk to one another is when they are trying to like connect and like have a moment. And most of them end with him being like, "Hey kid, you're all right. You got this. You're the best." Like there's so much of that in this movie.
Yeah. And it's very much like, "Oh, you literally tried to murder me. You're definitely not trustworthy. Can we trust this guy? Hey, I trust this guy. He's okay."
It's very West Side Story in that way. You killed my brother. I still love you.
I'm not familiar with West Side Story, but it definitely felt like one of those moments where like she trusts him because the scene in the movie has come where she needs to trust him.
Yeah.
And that's just what's going to happen.
It doesn't feel earned.
No. Which is a shame because I feel like you could do a story about a kid that is tragically flung from their home against their control, and every time they panic, they're flung further away from their home. But she just kind of seems cool with it. You know, like, I've been to 73 realities, and like, just find some pizza. And I'm just like, okay. Like, it's like you can't both be totally cool with just wandering around and getting pizza balls and really torn up about the fact that you maybe killed both of your parents. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it would be one thing if there was like I'm trying to cope, and the way that I am coping is I embrace the things that are familiar. And that's the pizza, and that's the food thing of like, I do this, I just keep my head down, I just eat my food, and I make my way in the universe. And if it was like, and the crazy thing is like, that's kind of dark, but this movie does so many way darker things that I'm like, why didn't you do that? Because that would make this more relatable, I guess. Like, it would make me feel for her, because she would seem like she was in a, because she's the most powerful character potentially in the Marvel Universe is after her and wants to murder her and steal her powers. But I kind of don't feel that.
No, it's
America.
Yeah, it's more the stakes of like, oh my God, Wanda is going to do this horrific thing. It's not, this girl is going to get murdered.
No, the stakes are not that she's going to kill. The stakes are not that America is going to die. It's that this character I love is going to do something terrible that she can't take back.
Right.
And then she does many terrible things that she can't take back in this movie.
Yeah.
And like when we get to the scene on Mordo's Earth,
I think that's one of the best parts of the movie, honestly.
I think it's definitely the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's also the most horrific part of the movie. And it's also the part where I was like, "Oh no!"
Have you seen Invincible? Let's just talk about it. Have you seen Invincible?
I've seen a little bit of it.
Did you see the first episode?
Yes.
Okay, so
it's like that.
It's like that. It's just like that, except live action.
It is just like that, except live action.
Yeah.
But I will get to that. But I am. It's kind of a shame. I feel like I feel like Wanda and Steven and Wong are treated pretty well. And I feel like Mordo is even treated pretty well by the movie.
I'm going to disagree with you there. But we'll get into that in a minute. I think Wong has some of his best scenes that he's ever had in this movie, specifically in the very beginning when they're fighting what I assume is Shumagorath, but they never actually.
Shumagorath.
Okay, I don't know if they ever give it a name.
They never talk about it, and the only reason I know that is because I went over to my friend Stu's house and
played
Boston,
Marvel vs. Capcom 3
and played Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Shumagorath is in that game.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I know who that is.
Yeah, but
I thought that fight was cool.
Yeah, I thought he did a really cool job. He's got the the chain, and all that. But no, I think I have a huge problem with the Mordo situation. It's just at large at this point in the MCU, and it's that
I'm really interested to. Oh, go ahead.
No, so the end of Doctor Strange, it ends with him going to Pangborn, who's the guy who basically convinces Strange to go to Karmatage because he couldn't walk, and now he sees this guy playing basketball.
And Mordo is like,
and he's like,
with this universe and its sorcerers.
Yeah, there's too many sorcerers, and then the movie cuts off, and we never see that Mordo again, and we still haven't to this day, because the one that we see in this movie is of this other universe. Like, where is this? Like, I don't think we're ever gonna see this other Mordo again, unless
we definitely are.
I feel like it's gonna be like in some like Disney Plus series or something.
I feel like if it wasn't for WandaVision, that's what this movie would have been about. If it wasn't for WandaVision, this movie would have been about Mordo.
I don't agree with you there.
Doctor Strange 2 would have been about Mordo.
Like, here's I think he'll reappear, but I think he'll reappear in like an America Chavez thing. I don't think it'll be, And I say
But
that
she's not a sorcerer.
No, but when the movie ends, she's at I can't even say it. Camartage.
Camartage.
Thank you. And she's learning, the sling ring deal.
Oh, yeah.
So
I really hope not, because that's like separate. That's like making oh my God, what's his name? Strong from Green Lantern. What's his fucking name?
I got no idea.
The Yellow Lantern guy. You know who I'm talking
Sinestro.
about? Yes. That's like separating Sinestro from Hat. It's like, no. This is your main villain.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't make Mordo somebody else's
villain. Wouldn't.
He's Doctor Strange's villain.
It wouldn't make sense to put Mordo in the Dark Dimension, and when this movie ends and Steven's with Clea, like, they're going to the Dark Dimension. Like, why would Mordo be there?
Was that that is a character?
Yeah, that's Clea. She's the Sorceress of the Dark Dimension. Sorceress Supreme of the Dark Dimension.
Really?
Yes.
What was she in?
Bunch of comic books.
Oh,
like
okay.
Doctor Strange comics, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea who
I didn't know that until this weekend.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything about it. I've read Doctor Strange comics, but I didn't know that. Or if I did, I forgot it. I didn't retain it.
They have a Sorcerer Supreme in Dormammu's dimension?
Yes. I think I'm right about that. If I'm not, definitely
I'm very interested in this. I thought that was cool. What I didn't think was cool was Third Eye Blind.
Third Eye Blind. Dr. Clea Strange is a fictional character appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. She's a sorceress and the disciple, lover, and eventual wife of Dr. Stephen Strange.
What?
And I knew that. His ultimate successor as the Sorcerer Supreme. So after he dies in whatever run they're referring to here. But yes, she is like a well-established Marvel Doctor Strange character.
What? I looked up the thing, and it said she is the daughter of Umar and the niece of Dormammu.
There you go. I was like, I know there's a connection there. So yeah, to get back to my rambleness, we don't know where this Mordo is that happens in this movie. And with Doctor Strange going to the Dark Dimension with Clea, it wouldn't make sense to bring him back. At least I don't think. Maybe they could tie it together. I don't know.
I don't think it would make sense for him to go there.
It wouldn't. Because at this point, like, he's such a small potato compared to like everything else that Doctor Strange is doing.
Compared
with
to
at this
Dormammu.
point. Yeah. It's like, cool. There's
Wanda.
one guy that like he beat him in this dimension by sticking him in like a walled off crevasse.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of been outclassed.
Justice for Mordo. So let him fight America Chavez. I don't know. Or whoever. Or don't bring him back. But like, as far as I know, that's like, that'll be one of the longest like games that the MCU has played at this point. Next to Abomination appearing in Shang-Chi.
Oh man.
Which, like, that was a deep cut.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a weird movie. I like a lot of the stuff that it does. Like I think a lot of the cameos, which I want to get into now, unless I'm trying to think if there's literally anything else.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Harry in the chat said he could join with the that weird dark team up with fake Captain America and Yelena. What is that? I almost said Justice League Dark. That's not.
No.
Isn't it Dark Avengers?
I don't know if it's Dark Avengers, but I do know that Doctor Strange is also on like a dark kind of mystic team with Moon Knight at some point. With Moon Knight and Blade and some other characters like that, which it looks like they could be working up towards, like Avengers After Dark or whatever it's called.
Yeah, like I get Avengers After Dark. I think that would
be really cool, because I think that having like this particular squad, like have Moon Knight stuff be fucked up, have Doctor Strange stuff be really messed up, like have a roster of characters. Blade obviously is going to be super bloody and brutal.
That movie, I want that movie to be rated R so badly.
I'm really excited for Mahershala Ali as Blade. That's going to be so awesome.
Yeah.
Particularly because I love Wesley Snipes. That's like the Blade movies from that era are like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, where like they're cheesy but they're still good. Yeah. And I'm really interested to see like a more direct take where like he's not cutting vampires in half and then going, yes. You know, like that sort of thing. But I just, yeah, it's going to be really good. I like the idea of having like two different corners of the MCU. One that's like bright and happy, and one that's like really messed up, like the stuff that happens in this movie.
I mean, now that you say it, like I think that could be what we're leading to, right? Like with the Young Avengers characters that have been introduced, like you could start, like that team is starting to form. They have their mentors in the Avengers that are left, basically, and then
which there
aren't that many, and that's I also have thoughts on that. Like I'm not crazy about that, but also the you have what, Black Knight, Blade, Moon Knight.
Black Knight from the Eternals.
Yeah. Well, like
you've got
all
Black
those characters
Knight,
have
Moon
to reappear
Blade,
at some
Doctor
point.
Strange, and then who was the last one? Was it that ghost guy who like possesses people? Dead Man? Was he a member of that? Or is that actually DC? That might actually be DC.
That might be DC.
Hold on. Let me look this up. Blade, Black Knight, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, and Daredevil.
Oh, that would make sense. If they're building to like that team. That would be interesting.
Yeah. Let's see.
Brian is reading for anyone listening to the audio of this podcast. Reading. It's very exciting stuff.
It's so exciting. But that's cool because I like what's his face?
Mahershala Ali.
Who plays I was gonna say who plays Black Knight.
Oh, Kit Harington.
Yeah, he's great. I like him a lot. Black Knight. Werewolf by Night? Part of the Avengers 5 lineup, maybe.
Anyway.
MI13.
Mission Impossible 13.
No, apparently that's like some organization.
Interesting.
Led by Captain Britain. Was apparently teased in Avengers Endgame. Yeah, anyway, I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
But those are like interesting characters. And I like the idea of like it's not grounded, but like more kind of sinister things, because like the stuff that Doctor Strange and them deal with is like pretty intense.
Well, and that's what I'm surprised at with this movie. That they got to make it, but also like if people aren't, and I don't think there's been a lot of like outcry of mothers like, oh my God, I can't believe they made this Marvel movie for my kids. Like, I haven't heard a lot.
They blew somebody's brains out in this movie. They chopped somebody in half in this movie. Like, they did a lot of really messed up stuff.
Someone's neck gets snapped and you like watch it.
Yes.
And it's a spooky part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam Raimi definitely flexed his horror chops in this one.
Yeah. But all that said, like, I wonder if Disney is going to let them do what they want to do. I mean, they did with Deadpool, right? Like, so I don't know.
And even more with Deadpool 2.
Yeah. Oh, so the cameo that I had mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Oh my God, what is his name? He plays young Patrick Stewart.
James McAvoy?
James McAvoy. There's a shot of him in the CGI, like the gray CGI suit on set when they're in front of that like glass chamber or the polycarbonate chamber that like Strange and America Chavez are in when they're in that dimension. There's like a shot of him and he's like getting direction like from Raimi, and then he wasn't in this movie.
Weird.
Yeah. So like I wonder how many things like that there are that didn't make it.
I am fascinated. This is definitely one of those movies that like I'll buy. I've kind of, I don't know, this is a discussion for a mainline episode of the platformers, but I'm leaning back into physical copies of things.
Sure.
So I'm going to be buying more physical games. I'm buying more physical movies, and special features are a part of that. And I cannot wait to see what is on this disc.
I normally don't care about them, but like for some reason with this movie, I'm like, I want to,
because there's so much possibility. Yeah. And I also really like, this is something that I kind of went away from, but I really like watching director and cast commentaries. Like I did that for Shaun of the Dead, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. They have like 3 different commentary tracks. They've got like director and DP and like one of the like writers or something like that, and then they've got like the main cast, and then they've got like the supporting cast commentary. And I just adored watching through that and just hearing what everybody had to say about the different scenes and the stuff that they did and what it was like and what it could have been like and all those sorts of things. I find that stuff absolutely fascinating. And I'm really excited about that. Is there anything we need to talk about in this movie before we get to Mordo's world? Because I feel like other than like basically having having Steven go to Wanda and ask for her help and then realize she's the problem, which I thought was good. I liked that scene and that reveal, even though I don't like that they're doing this to the character that I love.
Yeah.
I thought that it was her being like, yep, and it's all real, and then him like not knowing.
Yeah. And
then being like, yeah, I'm better than you. Like that was like, that moment to me was like a huge flex. I felt like.
Well, and her stumble of like,
yes,
yeah. At what part?
A great moment.
Yeah. At what part did you figure it out? I never mentioned the name, did I, or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just like, you could bring America here, and he just like kind of stops walking, and he's like, she's like, you didn't tell me your name, did you?
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't. She's like, well, and then she kind of like lets the side down.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I'm a crazy person.
You can bring her here, or I can murder you and all of your friends. Which is like, I love a good heel turn, but we did need more time, and I don't like that they did it anyway. Like, yeah. I don't care if we had more time. I wouldn't have liked this.
I mean,
because these are like my 2 favorite characters in the MCU, and you made one evil and then potentially killed her.
Yeah.
And I like her more than Strange. Like, that's the thing, is like, she's like maybe my favorite character in the MCU right now.
Yeah. I will say, even though I'm upset, at what happened, it was really, really cool to see her just destroy.
Let loose.
Yeah. And be as terrifying as she's capable of being.
Yes.
The scene where, or basically the whole sequence of her getting trapped in the mirror dimension and trying to get out and using the reflections. Yeah. Like, it's such a brilliant thing.
Like, you trapped me in here, but now you're going to have to deal. And like, her being somebody who is powerful enough that like, you can't keep her there.
Right.
Like, which is like, that's the thing. I don't think there's ever, Peter got out, but it was because he took the sling ring and like figured out a way out. Like, something like that. Like, he kind of used Steven's exit. But he bested Steven. He isn't somebody that they abandoned there and then got out, because like I don't think that anybody's ever done that.
Yeah.
And I think the way that she got out is super cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's the sort of stuff that I watch these movies with these characters for. this is what I want to see Scarlet Witch do. This is what I want to see Doctor Strange do.
Yeah.
Is like bend the laws of reality and show me a good time, you know? And I feel like that is definitely, you know, what they did. And then having her go back to her power when she was first introduced in Age of Ultron and whisper into somebody's ears. I definitely, yeah, that was a great scene. Yeah, Il Girl Chill in chat says, you know what's cooler than magic? Math. Yeah, and that was a great scene in No Way Home. Also a great movie. A better movie than this movie. But anyway.
Damn!
But yeah, so they have this thing where she kind of calls back to her powers in Age of Ultron, and she whispers in that person's ear as they're like defending and gets them to run away and disrupt the shield, and then she gets her way through. It's very good. Like I'm disappointed that once she got into the fight, she was just using like concussive blasts instead of like using her reality warping power, which is what I wanted to see. I wanted her to just be like, this isn't a castle anymore. This is an open field and you have no walls and you have no cannons and I win. Like I wanted her to do that. Like I wanted her to, and she does some of this later.
I think that's why they do it.
Because they're working up to it?
Yeah, I think it's honestly
so.
just like it's the slow burn of it. Because the way that if you're somebody who doesn't know what she does, the way that they introduce you to her powers bit by bit, I think is a better impact than just like, oh, she's doing this, now she's doing that.
But because you basically need to have seen WandaVision, you already know this.
Yeah.
And this is one of the biggest problems with this movie is that this movie takes the character through the journey that she goes in WandaVision, which when I first was in the movie and I was like, they undid her character development. And then by the end of the movie, she kind of accepts that she's done something terrible, which is the exact same thing that happens in WandaVision. And then she kind of repents and tries to make good and then goes and lives in isolation. And that's basically this, like, her story arc is the same in this movie as it was in that entire season.
The only difference is she says she accepts that I can't do anything about it, or at least I shouldn't. She can, but she doesn't want to live in that reality anymore, and then ultimately takes herself out of it.
And so when I was like, okay, they're rehashing the story of that. So they're trying to make it so if you didn't see that, this story still makes sense. But then there's too many things in this movie that basically require you to understand the suffering she went through in WandaVision, to understand her motivation, that it doesn't work. Yeah. It's trying to have it both ways. It's trying to tell a self-contained story that's the same story as WandaVision while requiring you to have watched WandaVision.
Right.
If they did a thing where she was dreaming of children that she didn't have in like I guess they kind of did this at the beginning of the movie, but like if you're gonna try to obviate this Disney Plus series that you made and you're gonna try to make it so that people can just watch the first Doctor Strange and then come into this, you need to have more. You need to basically have the intro of this movie be a truncated version of WandaVision, basically. And if you'd have done that and then just left out the ending, then that would just, you'd just be getting rid of WandaVision, and you made WandaVision, and you need to account for that. Like it doesn't work.
I think part of the problem, like, and again, I'm taking it from the perspective of like what is happening in the room where they're putting this whole thing together, and they're like, okay, what does this movie need to do for the MCU at large, for the movie itself? Who needs to understand it? What do they need to? What homework do they need to have done before they do this? Like it,
or even bigger picture, like what is this movie about?
Yeah, like I think that's honestly the biggest problem, is that it's trying to do so much heavy lifting while introducing you to like really being the thing that showcases what the multiverse is and is going to be from this point forward in the MCU.
Which I will give the movie. It does that better than any of the other stuff that I've seen, with the possible exception of Loki.
Yeah.
But I think that this movie does a great job of introducing you to what the multiverse is and what it is like. I really think the movie should be applauded on that front.
Yeah,
I
would agree with that.
When it's multiverse building, I think that it's very, very strong. I think that the character stuff is where it kind of falls down a bit.
And again, like the MCU is just in a weird spot right now where
we're in the in-between place.
We're in the in-between place. It's like, all right, we have to clean up, and
the audience is trapped in the mirror dimension now.
Yeah, well, like they have to tie up these loose ends with these characters. They have to decide which ones are staying and which ones are going.
And they're opening up so many new Pandora's boxes in each of the Disney Plus series.
Right. Like,
and they're not bringing most of them together.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
And really, we've had what? We've had WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, Moon Knight.
Yeah. Falcon and Winter Soldier.
We've had 5 of these things. Holy shit.
Yes.
Like,
and several of those don't come into this at all.
No.
The only one is like we get a little bit of Loki, and What If. We get a little bit of Loki, we get a little bit of What If, we get WandaVision, and then and Moon Knight doesn't really touch anything in the MCU right now.
Yeah.
I imagine it probably will when Blade comes out. I don't know. Is that a movie or is that going to be a series?
That's a movie.
Okay. I like that. I like that choice. But yeah, like Falcon and Winter Soldier doesn't have anything to do with this because this is bigger than
But that was a big epilogue piece.
Yep.
You know, to Steve's
Which
story.
is we're introducing like a new Hydra basically.
Yeah.
Or if not Hydra, something that's kind of Hydra-esque.
Adjacent.
Hydra adjacent, yeah. But yeah, like I am really interested to see where this is going. And I will say, in their defense, it didn't really feel like things were building to Infinity War that much early on either. It felt like they were building to, this is assembling the Avengers, and then the Avengers are being put on their back feet several times, usually by their own fuck-ups.
Yeah.
And then Thanos was like, it's your boy. I did a lot of this already. And then, it was kind of like, it wasn't really a reveal because we kind of knew since the first Avengers that he was behind at least some of it. But now it would have been one thing if Kang had showed up in this movie. I think that it would have been like, okay, Kang's the big bad for this arc.
And I thought he would have, like in the trailers when when Strange is in one of the dimensions with like that dark Strange, when he goes, things have really gotten out of hand or whatever. Like there's
which that line wasn't in that movie and I was waiting for it.
Same. And I think that scene, Mordo is with them because he says like, like you have to like atone for your sins or whatever, basically. And that whole, like, he's not in that set in this movie.
And that set looked like the room that Kang was in when Loki.
Exactly.
Okay, so I wasn't the only one.
No. I thought the exact same thing, and I was like, okay, like I wonder if they're leading down this path of like Kang is going to appear here. It would make sense given what happens in Loki, but again, like now it's our timeline's different than multiverses, which are different than dimensions.
Well, and also like Kang isn't the big bad, Wanda's the big bad. And there's not really any room for Kang.
No, there isn't. There's barely room for the people that are in this movie.
There's barely room for America, who is ostensibly both the MacGuffin and the new character.
Yeah.
Like, which is cool, yeah.
We did get some new characters in this movie.
Oh my god, dude! I have been when they get thrown to this dimension, to Mordo's dimension, and we got pizza balls. We go on red, which I liked. I liked all these little touches. We get the Bruce Campbell cameo.
Yep, I thought that was very good.
I thought that was really, really good. Although I will say, when he did that thing to him, and then he was like, "It'll last about 3 weeks." I'm like, that's a really fucked up thing that you just did, Steven. That's an incredibly fucked up thing that you just did. He's going to beat himself up for 3 weeks.
He would be dead.
That's torture.
Yes.
That I was like, wow, that's no. It should have been like, it'll be like
2
an
hours
hour or 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that, and that would have still been a lot.
Yeah.
And he didn't do anything to you. What are you talking about? But anyway, that was Anyway, but yeah, when they go there, and then it's like Mordo, and Mordo's his friend, but he's still suspect, and all this sort of stuff, and then we get the reveal of the Illuminati. This from the time that they enter this place to the end, to when they're leaving, man, that was easily the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
The cameos, I don't know how, because it was a while before I muted things. I didn't get spoiled on any of this except for the Patrick Stewart, because his voice was in the first trailer.
Oh well, yeah, I'm annoyed they did that.
I fucking hate.
It would have been
Stop doing this.
It would have been better if his voice was in the trailer and then he wasn't in the movie. That would have been way better. Or like do that with anybody.
You know what would have been even better than that is if that scene wasn't in the trailer and he was in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
it was a surprise.
Well, they also did the reveal of Captain Carter like the day before the movie came out, and I was like, really?
I didn't see that. So yeah. I was very surprised that she was in it.
They threw it wasn't her, but like the shield hits the wall, and when it gets stuck in the wall or whatever, it's like the British flag, and I was like, why the fuck would you do that? Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I hate that. Yeah. I really hate that about modern trailers.
Yeah.
They give away everything.
And Marvel's been one of the biggest defenders of this as of late, I feel.
Yeah. I'm actually really impressed. I still, to this day, I think that the Last Jedi trailer is one of the best trailers I've ever seen.
I would agree.
Because it is just a tone piece.
Force Awakens is the same, I think.
Yes. Yeah, those are both really good.
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker, they did Palpatine's voice in the back.
We don't talk about Bruno.
And that movie's trash.
Yeah.
But I was very happy that I did not get spoiled on Agent Carter being in this. Or, man, how did you feel when you saw the reveal?
John Krasinski
as Mr. Fantastic.
The whole theater screamed when it happened.
I was beaming.
Yeah.
People have been asking for him as Mr. Fantastic for so long.
Yeah.
And we finally got it.
Yeah.
And then he got brutally murdered.
He got turned into spaghetti.
Yeah, which is super. That entire scene is so fucked up.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to see him in there talking rationally, being the coolest head in the room as Reed Richards is. Man,
he looked phenomenal.
We have to, it can't end here. We have to get him back.
Yeah.
Like, we have to.
And that was one of the questions Jess and I had was, just because they're from a different universe, does that mean that it would be like the same actor? And I was like, well, no, because think about it. Like, Captain Marvel,
the variants,
the variants, and Captain Marvel was
Captain Marvel just ended up being like, she went up for the flight
Rambo
that day
or whatever,
instead.
right? Yeah.
It was Monica Rambeau, the character that wasn't really a character in that movie.
Yeah,
that we were talking about earlier. And then who was the other one?
Black Bolt.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Did they do an Inhumans thing? I feel like they talked about doing an Inhumans thing, and then I never saw it, and I don't know if it came out or if they just didn't do it.
The movie?
Did they make an Inhumans movie?
They were starting to, and it kept getting pushed. Sorry. I typed Inhuman, and then I said push instead of pushed. I don't know what happened.
It got pushed. But yeah, so I feel like they did something, but maybe they didn't. I don't know. But
what
yeah,
were the
I felt
unmade? Oh yeah, I guess they canceled it.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That sucks. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that he came in with this because I've seen Black Bolt in like, I saw him in, actually, no, yeah. It was like a Spider-Man and Captain Falcon or whatever. And it was like about the Inhumans. They were going to help the Inhumans or something like that. And Black Bolt was in it. And he had like done something to beat Venom or something. Like he just like whispered at him and like was able to shout Venom off of like a Tyrannosaurus Rex or something crazy. Which is like nuts. I love it when Marvel gets like really wild like that.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really cool that Black Bolt was in there. And then who else? Obviously Patrick Stewart, Professor Xavier.
Yeah.
I can't ever get enough. That run, those people talk about like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies as being like just classic comic book stuff.
Nobody talks about those movies.
The X-Men movies are some of my favorite movies ever. I adore those movies.
I haven't seen them in at least 20 years. And
we should do a rewatch and then talk about them.
Yeah, and that's an accurate statement. I think the last one I've seen was First Class. Like I didn't even see them all. And I saw I saw Logan too, but that was it.
Yeah, Logan was really good.
Yeah. But no, those movies they're what's unfortunate is like I feel like Last Stand came out, X-Men 3.
Yeah.
And everybody just dunked on that movie, and once that happened, like for a lot of people they were just out.
Which is wild because if you look at ways to cap off a saga, the Rise of Skywalker, third mention this episode, was so much worse. If you look at if you go back knowing what you know now and watch X3, not that bad. It's a decent to good movie.
I remember watching it and being like, I don't understand what everyone's upset about. Like when it came out.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's just not as good as 1 or 2.
No.
That's the problem with it.
Yeah.
It's like this. It's the same thing with the Batman trilogy. Everybody dunks on The Dark Knight Rises. That movie is great.
That movie has problems. I'm not about to get into them with you.
Sure. I mean, this isn't an episode about Dark Knight Rises. I think that movie is great. I think that is definitely the second best in the Nolan trilogy. I think Batman Begins is the worst.
You're entitled to your opinion, and your opinion.
I am definitely entitled to my
opinion can be wrong.
Yeah. We'll just leave it there. But but when they introduced these characters, who else was there? There was like another person, right? Or was it just, let's see, right to left? There was what? Black Bolt.
I think that was it.
Somebody.
It's Black Bolt, Xavier. I mean, Mordo's
was between them.
Mordo's there.
Was it Mordo? Maybe.
I feel
like he was like pacing or whatever. And then we had John Krasinski. We had Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel. And they're basically like, yeah, we don't trust you, bro. But we're gonna stop her. Don't worry about it. We'll stop your little sleepwalking Scarlet Witch. Don't worry about that. And then they got their fucking teeth punched in.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that scene. When she comes in,
yeah, it's everybody.
Also, I thought it was a really good touch that they were being guarded by Ultron.
Like really cool. In this universe, the
little Ultron robots.
Yeah. In this universe, they figured it out.
Yeah. A suit around the world, baby.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so then when they go out, and I forget who's the first person. Well, I guess they all come down, and then John Krasinski is like, "Hey, you need to stop," and then she like literally just unmakes him.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Damn, that sucks."
Yeah.
That really sucks. And the Black Bolt thing,
dude. When he's like, with a whisper, Black Bolt will like disintegrate you, or with his mouth, and she's like, "What mouth?" And then with that,
and then it pans back, and he doesn't have a mouth. It's fully Mr. Anderson from the Matrix.
Yeah.
And then he like makes a noise,
and his head explodes.
His head explodes. His brain blood comes out, like comes through his eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
Gruesome.
Like that was.
That was when you realized it's going down.
I thought the Reed Richards thing, I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe they just killed him. And then that happens and it's like, oh no, these people are going to get annihilated. Like in the worst way possible.
Yeah. And I mean, it happens with Agent Carter.
Yeah. She gets cut in half.
She throws the shield and Wanda's like, okay, you want to play catch? And throws it back and just chops her in half.
Yeah.
Truly wild. And like she doesn't. I think Mordo lives.
Well, Mordo lives and he gets stuck
because he fights Strange.
Yeah, he gets stuck in the little like ditch.
Yeah,
because he can't run up a wall,
which is wild.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just can't without magic. I don't know. I mean, parkour skills for Steven. That's a plus.
Yeah.
And then she beats. Everybody's been saying, "Oh yeah, Wanda's not so powerful. Captain Marvel could definitely beat her." And then it's like, well, we had a Captain Marvel go up against her and did not end well for Captain Marvel. So I thought that was pretty wild. Take it for a second.
There is a GIF or GIF of the scene where. So there's that scene with Professor X where he's
it should be good.
Okay. Brian's been getting nosebleeds, fun fact.
I had a real bad one earlier today, so I'm trying to make sure that it's not coming back while we're on stream.
He saw Multiverse of Madness and his head was just like, oh boy.
I had a Black Bolt moment.
But when he's inside Wanda of that dimension's mind, and first of all, when he points at her and he does like, not only does he do like the Xavier thing where he grabs his head, but he does it and he like tilts his head and it's like, points at her like super intensely. I thought that was funny. But there's a GIF online of her snapping his neck and people have like taken it like frame by frame. And there's one image of her where it's obviously like CGI, but it's her face and she looks like this like little troll and she's just like the claws are out and everything. It's fucking horrifying.
Yeah, it is really terrifying. She comes out of the red smoke.
Yeah. Which was such a cool touch.
Yeah, as like Professor Xavier is trying to save like her host.
Yeah.
Which is like it sucks to see. It was so cool to see all these characters and then to see them get killed, but then I'm like, but they're not in our universe. And so like that doesn't mean that we won't ever get them.
Yeah.
But it was still a bummer because I love so many of these characters, like, and finally getting to see like these, characters, like we get Professor Xavier in the yellow chair,
right?
Like, which is like the classic. Like he was never in that.
Yeah.
He was never in that, and we finally got yellow chair Professor Xavier, and I was like, so good.
Yeah.
This is Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four. So cool. That and these are the moments when I'm like, man, this movie has some high highs.
Yeah. And I would go as far to say I don't think the lows, like I'm super low on what happens. Like I'm not like, oh my God, that fucking sucked. I'm more just like it could have been different. It could have been what Jess said, like an alternate Wanda that they have to deal with, is impeding on their dimension. Like it didn't have to be our Wanda,
I thought it could be really cool if it was like our Wanda and Strange teaming up versus like a super powered Scarlet Witch from another universe trying to do what this Wanda was trying to do in this movie.
Yeah.
And just being like, yo, she's going and wreaking havoc on these different universes, and she's not. It would have been difficult to sell that because she wouldn't have anything to gain by coming to our universe. Mm-hmm. But it could have been like somebody from their universe came to our universe and asked for help or something.
Yeah.
Because they're like, hey, maybe they asked for a character who's close to Wanda or something. Like establish that Steven is close to Wanda and could talk her down maybe. And then they kind of come and ask him for help or something because they don't have a Doctor Strange anymore.
Yeah. Or
something. Like something like that where like I feel like it would have it would have had the high highs without pulling the rug out from under the character moments that we've already had.
Yeah.
And I wish that had happened, but at the same time, and like I said earlier, I feel like the highs are really high. I feel like the cool things they introduce are really cool. And it doesn't entirely take the wind out of my sails. It just kind of does.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not, I don't think this is a bad movie. I wish they hadn't done Wanda so dirty, even though it is really cool to watch that.
Yeah. I'm very interested to hear Josh's opinion of this movie. Because I feel
what
like...
do you think he's going to...
He's going to be like either super high on it or he's going to fucking hate it for so many reasons.
Yeah.
Like he'll just have this like laundry list of reasons. But as someone who is such a horror fan, like I think he may walk out of it loving it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
He may never watch it. I don't know.
He may never watch it. He may never watch it. I do think that there is that whole scene, and then she, you know, wins, and they go through and they try to find that book, and then she, you know, abandons her duplicate in that place. Luckily, they do pan back and say and show that like she gets out and she's able to go home to her family.
Yeah.
Like the Wanda from the 838 universe or wherever they are, is able to actually go home and like take care of the kids and all that sort of stuff. But not after having to. I wonder if it's like. I wonder what it's like. I wonder if she was like literally there and watched herself murder all of those people that. We don't know that she cares about them, but like
that would be interesting.
Heroes of her planet.
Well, no, it would be interesting, like, if there was they would never do this, like a 30-minute Disney Plus, like, special or something, where it was, like...
Of just from her perspective?
Well, and it was not only that, but it was that Wanda, and she's, like, in therapy, and she's just talking about, like, I did things, I hurt people, and they're like, you have to understand that wasn't you. She's like, it doesn't matter. Like,
it doesn't matter,
I felt it
close
all.
My eyes and I see it, and I, you know...
That would be wild if they did that.
I was feeling what she was feeling. I was feeling the pleasure of victory, the exhilaration of victory, and all that sort of thing. Like it kind of like messed her up. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
And this is the stuff that I love that the comics do kind of get into.
Yeah.
Because a lot of messed up stuff happens in the comics, like specifically with Wanda, with House of M and all that sort of stuff, where she's like trying to deal with this loss by like remaking reality and the way that she wants, which is what WandaVision is kind of about on a much smaller scale.
Yes.
But like I do like the fact that those you know, there's an issue of the comics where I read where like Spider-Man came and took Wolverine to a bar because it was Wolverine's birthday and nobody really wants to hang out with him.
Yeah.
And he's talking about like how difficult it is to be him, how difficult it is for Logan to be himself, to do the things that only he can do and have to carry that around with him. Like Marvel doesn't really shy away from that. The movies do because they're supposed to be movies that are fun for teenagers and people and stuff like that. But like the comics have like an edge to them.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to see. They don't do this sort of stuff. They don't do like gory stuff, but they do tackle like difficult issues.
Well, I mean, even like, would you want like I would, but I know they would never do it. Like, would you want a House of M style movie live action, or is that the type of thing you would rather just leave where it is? Like, they don't have a tendency to be like, we are making a House of M movie. Like, it's not like we're making the Batman, the Long Halloween, or Last Laugh, or whatever.
No, or like the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, like
I would like to. That's kind of what Batman versus Superman was supposed to be, but it's super not. I would, if for no other reason than I would absolutely love to see Ian McKellen and
Patrick Stewart,
Elizabeth Olsen and Patrick Stewart back together again.
Yeah.
And together for the first time. Like I would love to see Piotr come back and be with them and watch them as a family, because that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Magneto is one of my favorite characters in fiction, period. And Ian McKellen was masterful in that role. And Patrick Stewart was amazing as Professor Xavier. The X-Men are like so far above the Avengers on my care and affection meter.
Yeah.
It's like not even funny.
What is the Magneto line that you always quote? We are the future, Charles.
We are the future, Charles.
Not them.
They no longer matter.
God, what a great character. I remember when I was
I adore it.
I was in high school, and I went to for my senior week. This is totally off topic. For my senior week, I went to Universal Studios and Disney. And the day we did one day in Universal, and one of the gift shops, they had a Magneto replica helmet, like from the movie, that you could buy and you could like wear it. And it was like $500, and I came like this close to buying it.
Oh, you should have, dude. That would have been dope.
I was like 18 and had like $1,200 to my name, and I was just like, "Yo, but this helmet."
Amazing.
We're the future, Charles.
Not them.
Love it.
I've heard these arguments before. God, I'm gonna go watch all those movies now.
I probably am gonna start watching those now because it's been a hot minute, and Jess has never seen them.
Oh my God!
I know.
We have to do. Let's do it.
I've tried
Let's
to
do
get
an
her to
X-Men
watch them so
episode
many
on it.
times. Yeah,
I want to do that.
that'd be awesome.
I that would be amazing. But yeah, so after this happens, you know, they get the book and Wanda destroys it, and it's like, okay, we did all of this for nothing, basically. Which is so weird. There's not many times that I can think of in movies where like you're going after this MacGuffin, and then you get it and it doesn't work.
And you have the now what?
Yeah,
moment.
and then things get darker, they get separated. There's so many things that just kind of work out just because it's a movie and they're written to work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, then there's the whole they get thrown through to another dimension, and which is another scene of Wanda being very competent, of like torturing America, and then she calls a portal because she's going to try to retreat into it, and then she just like throws them through it.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, hey, you know,
She got him.
I was very, very impressed with that. Like, and that's the thing. So often, the villains. I feel like this is a great example of a villain that is extremely competent, extremely powerful, and is basically inevitably going to win until they undo themselves. You know what I mean? Like there's no, she had it.
Yeah.
You know, and then it was just the moment when she's confronted with when she's winning and she's confronted with her victory and what it has cost her, and it kind of recontextualizes anything, and then she just kind of stops.
Yeah. But like
she would have won otherwise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Had she not played so vitriolic, she would have won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, she did win, but then she stopped herself and like retreated, and then like kind of, you know, because she wasn't going to lose once she got through that portal.
Right.
She could have taken what she wanted, but it wouldn't have been what she wanted, which I think is the point.
Yeah.
And I think that they kind of teased that earlier, which is just like, and what happens to the you in the universe where those kids exist? And she's like, you know,
we all know what happens to that me.
Whoops. You know. And yeah, so it's and then there's that whole thing where like Steven uses the Darkhold and the spirits of the damned. What did you think about that?
That was...
And zombie possession?
So I think I'm torn. I think it only works because he's like Zombie Strange at that point. I think Zombie Strange looked really bad. Like I think the prosthetics like could have been better. And they also
clearly a CG one and then also a prosthetic one.
Yeah, and they gave the prosthetic one way too many close-up lines of dialogue than he should have had, or way more than he should have had.
I thought that the cheeks going into the teeth looked good, but the rest of it was kind of like
it was
old school. Like it almost looked like he was in the Munsters.
yeah. And I don't know if that's intentional, like just because that's
just because that's Raimi.
That's Raimi, yeah. Like
I don't know.
It's supposed to be this off the wall thing,
like Evil Dead stuff.
Yeah,
maybe.
I thought it was cool that like it did have a long lasting. There are ramifications for him having done that. I thought that was neat. And the fact
it's just him having another eye. Like, what does that even do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh.
I found this on the floor.
Oh no.
What is it?
Totally off topic. The bookshelf that I sold, that's for one of the shelves.
Ooh, yeah,
so
I to see it.
They're just screwed at this point. So you can throw that out.
I just wanted to make sure there wasn't another part of it
Nope.
that Linguini ate.
Nope. That's all.
Destroyed
Yep.
the paper towel roll upstairs.
Okay.
But yeah,
Cats.
it's yeah, I thought the cloak of the damned was very cheesy.
I thought it was cheesy, but like I liked how I love the scene in the dark dimension with Christine where it comes out and it tries to get her and she's just like and then they do the fisheye lens and she's like freaking out and you get it from
that was extremely Raimi.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
That was very Dr. Octopus surgery scene.
Yeah,
that one Asian actor backing against the wall being like
yeah.
that
the blood splattering. So that there's a part, it's that part where she grabs that chalice and she's like, oh, the chalice of blah blah blah, and then she gets a candle and she's lighting them up.
Makes a bazooka.
Yeah, so in the first Doctor Strange when he's fighting Caecilius in the New York Sanctum, he grabs that and he's like, stand back, and then Caecilius kind of looks at him and he's like, you don't even know how to use that, do you? And then he just throws it at him. That was the callback.
Great.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
As soon as it happened, I was like, oh, that's awesome.
He knows how to use it. That's great. That is really good.
Yeah.
Because Caecilius does back off. He's like, wait, I got to be careful. He does have this thing.
Yeah. And then he's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Oh, I don't have to be scared of you. You don't know how to use this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you pointed that out. That's a really cool touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird, but
honestly,
whatever.
One of my favorite scenes in this movie, which we haven't talked about yet, is the music fight.
Okay, hold on.
So
that is so cheeseball.
Oh man, I loved it. Because it's so random. So for those that don't know,
why are you watching this?
Why
are you listening to this?
Danny Elfman did the score for this movie, who also did the score for 1989 Batman, and Batman Returns. Also The Simpsons, fun fact. But it's just so off the wall. The two of them throwing music notes at one another, and then that final blast being a big crescendo, and the song is continuing as they're hitting each other back and forth. I thought it was such a brilliant but cheesy idea, and I thought it fit the world really, really well.
Oh, also leading up to that scene, I did make a note. Some of the framing on these shots, is beautiful.
The scene, there's a shot of him,
the blood crescent moon walking up the stairs.
Yes, that's the one.
Yes,
I was like, I want to poster that in my room.
I thought the exact same thing. I was like, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, that shot is awesome.
And the water just washing up to the stairs. A lot of that world was very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my notes, the music fight was cheeseball. Yeah. So yeah, the third eye, I thought it would have been. I'm so mixed because I don't understand what that third eye means.
So, in the comics, that is the eye of Agamotto. It's not.
Oh, interesting.
It's not a little.
It's not the necklace.
Yeah, it's not the pendant that he wears.
So what does it do?
I think it helps him see. I don't know. I forget what it does.
So it's a benefit.
Yeah,
so
like
the
it's
byproduct of him using the Darkhold is something that helps him.
Yeah.
Well, that's lame.
But I don't think in the comics, I don't think he gets it from the Darkhold. I think he just like he elevates his sorcery to a degree in which he then has it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like the whole thing of like it takes something from you. I mean, unless they're just it takes something from you, and then the eye popped up, and so like, oh, so is he gonna be like a monster now?
Right.
Like, is he gonna be like kind of evil now? Is this gonna like corrode his soul or something? And I don't know. I don't know if that's what they're saying, but it was definitely weird. And I'm not really sure what they're trying to do with it. And then they had the post-credit scene when, we had, Clea. We had Miss Cleo show up and ask him to go to Dormammu's dimension.
The blade that, first of all, her outfit's great. But the blade that she has, she's like, hey, shh, and she just cuts through reality. And she's like, come with me.
She does like a Psylocke thing.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Yeah. I thought that was cool, but I was like, I have no idea who this is. I know where they're going. They're going to Dormammu's dimension.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know who that was or what was going on.
Yeah.
But I did think that it was interesting that she said like, unless you're afraid, where there's that whole Rachel McAdams scene where she's like, face your fears.
Right.
And maybe this was like leading into this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so this next thing is going to be really terrifying or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I and of course, America Chavez, I like the whole thing of like, there was like I guess that's what that's about. I guess we were talking about like, what is this movie even about? But they do kind of give you the thesis at the wedding when oh my God, what's her name?
Christine.
I keep wanting to say Rachel. That's the actor's name. But yeah, when Christine is like, yeah, you always had to be the one to make the cut. Like you had to be the one to hold
the knife. Yeah.
And then the idea by the end is like, I could take this power. Wong is telling me I need to take this power. I'm not going to take this power. This is your power and you need to use it.
Yeah.
Like making him more of a team player. But I feel like he's been a team player. It's another thing of like I feel like he didn't really need to learn this lesson.
I mean,
he's not even
he needed to learn a lesson, right? Like Doctor Strange has fucked up a lot. He used the Time Stone when he wasn't supposed to use it in the first Doctor Strange movie. He went and checked all those different realities in Infinity War. Used the Time Stone again.
Which apparently, but like that was so okay. So based off of what they were talking about in the thing, based off what happened in Endgame, he said there is only one reality in which we win.
Right.
And it's the one where we do this.
Right.
And based off of what we saw in this movie, there's another. They beat Thanos differently, like separately afterwards. So there wasn't just one. So either he was wrong, or like.
So it's because Jess and I talked about this in the car. It's in his universe. There are that many outcomes of that reality. The other Doctor Strange with the Illuminati has its own set of realities and possibilities that could occur, and timelines. And
okay, so we're not. So we're not talking about. Okay. I got you.
Does that make sense?
We're good.
Okay,
we're good. Yes, in our timeline with the people that we have and the stuff that we can do, there's only one way out,
shot,
and we have to do this.
Right.
And it's the one where we actually give him the Time Stone.
Right.
Trying to keep it from him means we lose.
Right.
Okay. So we're tracking. So because it seems like early on, it seems like in the wedding scene, they're trying to suggest that he didn't do what was required or that he still wasn't able to save her. But like the message was a little bit muddied. I wasn't sure if they were trying to impugn his judgment for what he did in Endgame and Infinity War, or whether they were trying to say even that victory is still really shitty. And if it's the latter, we're good. I'm okay with that.
Well,
if it's the first, then I'm like, what are we doing here?
I think it's supposed to relate back to in that first scene of Multiverse where he is about to sacrifice America, and he's like, your sacrifice will mean the salvation of like millions of lives and blah 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 blah, and like, you're basically a drop in the bucket. And the conversation that happens at the wedding with the surgeon is basically the same way, where he's like, I lost my brother and my cats. And it's like, yes, their sacrifice was horrible, or like,
but it meant that half the universe could live. Right.
And it's not even so much that, it's more that they died while he wasn't there. Like,
yeah, that's true.
That's
so
also different. It's more just like, hey, remember that thing that happened? Yeah, that was really shitty. And it's like, yeah, it was, but look, everything worked out for the most part.
It could have been worse. We could have been half gone.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, okay, I'm tracking. I got you.
Word.
And then in the end, there's that whole thing. Yeah. I feel like the lesson that was the previous lesson that he learned, and we don't really need to talk about this much longer, because like I'm talking about different movies now. But in Infinity War and Endgame, when he was like, I will not hesitate to let you, Tony, or you, Peter, be murdered if it saves the time stone.
Yeah.
And then the growth that he has by the end is like, no, I have to give it up, and I have to give it up to save you, because if we don't, we lose.
Yeah.
He was so focused on the time stone, he was missing out in the big picture. And then when he looked at the different timelines, he's like, okay, that was so like he kind of had his big learning moment off screen while he was looking at all those timelines.
Right.
And now this one is like, okay, I need to, I don't know, maybe it is. Yeah. Maybe it's another good, like, kind of check your ego at the door situation.
I mean, he has a lot of those moments.
Yeah.
I mean, at least
I feel like he's in a pretty good spot now, though.
Now he is, like, but in the beginning of the first Doctor Strange movie, like when he's introduced, like he's kind of an asshole.
Yes, he's definitely an asshole. The biggest question that I have is he significantly different from the beginning of this movie to the end of this movie? And I don't know that the answer is yes.
I'm curious
to hear what you think.
I think he is, in that he's moved on from the whole Christine thing. Like, he knows, like, they have that very sweet moment where he's like, in every reality, it's always you. Like, you are the one that I'm in love with, but we're two ships passing by. Like, it's never going to work out in every one of these realities, because and this is probably the only thing that matters in What If, in my opinion, is that
he tries to bend reality to bring them together, and it destroys everything.
And their fuck up of a relationship is an absolute point. Like, they have to have problems in order for him to become Doctor Strange.
Yeah. And the universe needs Doctor Strange more than
it needs them to be together. Right, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Which is difficult.
Yeah.
And there is that whole idea of like responsibility and what are you willing to sacrifice to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Which is covered in a lot of these movies, but I feel like it's
I think that more than anything, that's probably the biggest thing that we get out of this movie is probably, him closing that chapter. Like, Rachel McAdams, I don't expect her to be in any more of these films.
Which is a shame, because I really like her.
I do too, but I think with the like, our universe's version of her is now married, and Clea is in the picture. So, like, they are moving on at this point.
Yeah. Which is cool.
Yeah.
I will miss her because I really like that character, and I think that her acting is one of the main grounding elements of the first Doctor Strange movie.
I agree.
But yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't really have anything else to say about this one. Did you have anything else you wanted to touch on before we close this one out?
Doctor Strange is cool as hell.
Doctor Strange is cool as hell.
Fun fact, the pop figures that they made for this movie, it is Pop's, one of them is Pop's 1000th Marvel pop figure. I saw that on Instagram. One of the Doctor Strange figures. I was like, God damn. That's crazy. That's a lot of plastic.
Yeah. I gotta, in between buying that that Jacko pose Tifa, I'm gonna need to find some money to pick up, like, you know, maybe a little Wanda or something like that. You know. But yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's our Doctor Strange spoiler cast. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
This has been episode 230. Can you believe it?
Can you believe it?
And if you can believe it, it's episode 230 once again. Thanks for joining us for episode 230 of the Platformers. If you enjoy the show, please review it on podcast services, and you can follow and like our stuff on YouTube and Twitch at youtube.com/platformerspod and twitch.tv/platformerspod, where we stream the show live every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We love interacting with people in the chat, so please come join us there. If you have thoughts, topics, or ideas that you want to share, things you want us to cover, we're very responsive to those sorts of things. So you can hit us up individually on social media, or you can hit up the Platformers Twitter account at PlatformersPod. You can hit me up at Ribnax, Ribnax. And if you want to see the stuff that I'm doing, you can go check out the Elden Ring wiki guide at IGN.com. And former guest host and beautiful human being Audrey Barnett, my wife, was recently on a different podcast that she was asked to guest on to talk about the Enneagram, which is something that she is an expert on. So, oh my God, I forgot what the name of it is. You plug and I will look it up.
Okay. You can find me at Shrives93 on all things on the internet. I was earlier today. It's not up yet, but it will be probably tomorrow. Odell Harmon Jr., friend of the show, invited me to be on his podcast. So you can check that out. That is called the Full Circle Podcast. I'll tweet that out when it goes out. We talked about the Embracer acquisition, the state of a world without E3. It was a very good time. I like that young man. He's a good boy. He's got a good head on his shoulders.
He is. Yeah, and he was on our Metroid Dread Spoilercast.
Yes, he was,
along with a couple other people.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get him back again because that was so much fun.
Oh yeah.
So if you want to hear a really cool podcast that Audrey guested on, it is called the Think Happy Podcast with Caitlin Cuevas, and this one is all about Enneagram with Audrey Barnett, and it's a real good episode. If you've been curious to learn about the Enneagram, it has changed my life for the vastly better. So I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Again, that is the Think Happy Podcast, all about Enneagram with Audrey Barnett. Really, really, really a fun listen. And it's nice to hear her. I don't get to hear her do work stuff, so it's nice hearing her like talk to someone else where I'm not involved, and I'm getting to see her flex her expertise.
Yes,
that's always a very fun thing when somebody you care about, you get to see them be like commanding in an arena. I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
So please review us, follow us, all that sort of stuff wherever you like. And if you like the show, tell friends about it. From everybody here at the Platformers, we hope that you have a wonderful week and stay safe out there, because until next time, we are out.
Stay strange.